Gabby, the happy holiday girl. Who says you have to wait until certain times of the year to get to celebrate? When every day's a holiday, we can combat stress and have more opportunities to have fun with our friends and family. Come, celebrate with me, and together we can live a holiday life. Hey, what's going on, holiday lifers? It's your girl Gabby, and today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day that we have the chance to honor someone whose life made such a difference in the United States and abroad. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for racial equality for me, for you out there who are listening, for our neighbors across the oceans. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words, life, actions mattered. And it's because of his sacrifice that I am able to have friends of multicultural ethnicities today. I am so proud that I don't have to sit on the back of the bus, that I have the chance to speak to people of many different cultures and not have to be afraid. Now, things are not perfect, as can be seen through politics today, but we have made progress from where we came from. For my father, growing up in the Midwest, there were such things as sundown towns, and he would tell me stories of how fearful Black people were to be caught in one of these towns after the sun went down. And because of the progress that Martin Luther King Jr. made, I can say that I grew up in one of those sundown towns, not being afraid, with friends of many different ethnicities and backgrounds. Because of the legacy that Martin Luther King Jr. made, we are able to sit with one another, to befriend one another, to marry one another. His life made such a difference. And my hope is that by even taking the few moments to speak about him, I am doing my part to honor his life, his spirit, and his legacy, and encourage you out there who are listening to also live a life full of love, hope, kindness, and a willingness to fight for the preservation and continuation of racial equalities for those both here and beyond our borders today. And now it's time for our quote of the day. I love to find things that I feel like can inspire you all, my listeners, to lead more fruitful lives. And so I really enjoy today's quote. It is by Martin Luther King Jr. himself, and it says, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Once again, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I love that quote so much, guys, because as people of the light, as people of Christ, as people who have the desire to live a life of kindness, of love, of faithfulness, of just goodness, I like to think that it is those qualities, when brought into any type of a situation, can help impact the room, impact those around you, impact our children, our spouses, our loved ones for good. There are many opportunities, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty myself, of allowing others to impact the way I react to situations. And so that's an area where I could get better in my own personal life. For example, if maybe my husband makes me frustrated, it's easy to react with frustration when, in essence, if I take a lesson from Martin Luther King Jr., whenever he says, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. That's pretty funny, guys. But no, seriously, if there's an area of conflict, it's not to respond hateful or with darkness or anything that's not good. You know, people do things, and not always intentionally, but to hurt our feelings. And so it's in those moments when you have to take a different route, take a higher road, and do your best to display love, display kindness, and, you know, whether it be with our children, with the man across the street, the lady that you see in the shopping store who maybe gives you a stank face. There are different opportunities that we are approached with on a daily basis that can really rile up our emotions. And so if we focus on doing our best each and every day to be kind, to be gentle, to be generous, to be loving, no matter what that cause was that could have tried to rile us up, if we try to always stay centered on goodness, then it's that goodness that changes the situation. And Sometimes you just have to have faith and believe that if you do what's right, good things will come back, even if it doesn't seem immediate. You just have to believe and trust and have hope and faith that by planting good seeds, those good seeds will return to you. So remember, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Be more loving today. Be inspired, my friend, today. And do your best to just be kind today. And guys, for you all who have been listening to me for a while, you know that I also have my holiday trivia podcast. And so I will play you a snippet of that podcast as well, so you can hear some of today's holiday trivia questions. Question number 3 is a pop trivia question. What was Martin Luther King Jr.'s first name? Was it A, Michael, B, Maurice, C, Martin, or D, Marvin? Once again, what was Martin Luther King Jr.'s first name? Was it A, Michael, B, Maurice, C, Martin, or D, Marvin? And the answer is A, Michael. WashingtonPost.com reports the name on his original birth certificate, filed April 12, 1934, 5 years after King was born, was not Martin, nor was it Luther. In fact, for the first years of his life, he was Michael King, and it wasn't until he was 28 that on January 23, 1957, his birth certificate was revised. And guys, I really liked that holiday trivia question because it actually was Martin Luther King Sr. who was the one who initiated the name change. After he had taken a trip abroad to Germany and saw what was happening during the time in Nazi Germany, he had saw the effects that hate was having on the culture, and he was inspired by the reformist Martin Luther. And so he changed both his and his son's name to Martin Luther. Kind of something neat to know, huh? And actually, guys, if you liked that trivia question, make sure you subscribe to Holiday Trivia now. You can actually get a link to that exclusive holiday trivia at the bottom of today's episode description. It costs $1 for a week's worth of trivia or $3 for a complete month's worth of holiday trivia. So make sure you head on over to that subscription link down below and you can get all of my 5 holiday trivia questions for the day. And now it's time for our informative fact of the day. Did you know that a decade before Martin Luther King Jr.'s death, there was actually another assassination attempt made on his life? I'm going to read for you an excerpt from history.com. It says, on September 20th, 1958, King was in Harlem signing copies of his new book, Stride Towards Freedom, in Bloomstein's department store when he was approached by Izola Ware Curry. The woman asked if he was Martin Luther King Jr., and he said yes. Curry said, I've been looking for you for 5 years. And she plunged a 7-inch letter opener into his chest. The tip of the blade came to rest alongside his aorta, and King underwent hours of delicate emergency surgery. Surgeons later told King that just one sneeze could have punctured the aorta and killed him. From his hospital bed, where he convalesced for weeks, King issued a statement affirming his nonviolent principles and saying he felt no ill will toward his mentally ill attacker. End quote. Guys, there are no words to express the type of person that it takes to forgive someone who tries to take your life, especially whenever you have young children at home, whenever you have a spouse at home. Even if you don't have those things, your life is important. When you have people you're living for, you're fighting for every single day, and to be able to find it within your heart, within your spirit, within your soul, to forgive that other person. Earlier, I'm talking about forgiving people in the grocery store who give you the stink face, but Martin Luther King Jr. was so spiritually evolved to where he even forgave the people who hated him to the point to where they attempted to take his own life. Be moved by his story. Be moved by his life. Take steps to live a loving life today. Take steps to fight for racial equality. Take the steps necessary to be kind to your neighbor. Those things matter. Our actions make a difference. Be inspired by the life of Martin Luther King Jr. today. And before we close out today's podcast, it is time for our activity of the day. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. After reading the story I just read you all after history.com, I don't know that I can leave you with just a light, fun activity to do. I really think that the best action item I can give you today is to be aware of various injustices that happen around the world. Sometimes that's actually an action in itself, just opening our eyes and taking the time to research into what's going on in different countries, to care enough to even become aware. And it's easy to want to live in a bubble of happiness all the time. But sometimes when you allow yourself to be open to someone else's suffering or pain, by becoming aware, you can be the person who makes the difference and who takes action. And whether it be through donating, through peacefully protesting, or just saying a prayer for someone else, you could be that extra bit of energy needed to make a difference in someone else's life all around the world. And so today, I'll leave you with this chaos theory quote. It says, "It has been said that something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wing can ultimately cause a typhoon halfway around the world. Your kindness matters. Your actions matter. Be a difference maker. Let love guide your path today." And so, what do you think? After learning about Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, are you ready to make the change and lead a nonviolent, peaceful life today? And if so, are you ready to stand up and be an advocate for racial equality for those around you today? Head on over to aholidaylife.com now for more holiday fun. There you can sign up to receive a free monthly calendar full of fun holiday activities for every day. You can also leave me a voicemail of what you're doing to celebrate the holiday. You might be on my next episode. Also, if you like my podcast, please be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. You can follow me on social media by using @AHolidayLife on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, and @AHolidayLife Podcast on Instagram. And for more holiday fun, head on over to my exclusive content holiday trivia podcast to give my trivia questions a shot. If you get 3 or more out of 5 questions correct, you're well on your way to becoming a holiday lifer. Until next time, keep celebrating the holidays, stay safe, and live a holiday life. I'll talk to you tomorrow.